lack of communication and withholding information. But overall I think swipe culture has ruined dating relationships. Putting the cart before the horse is a problem. This always makes me think of IKEA carts for some reason. So hard to push sometimes lol. Yeah, when I think back to friends I made in school, almost none of us make sense on paper. But with exposure and shared experiences, we became close and found ways to appreciate each other. But then with profile-based dating, it's the opposite. You're just shown some small slice and encouraged to form a total opinion then and there. Most people don't know what they need well enough to just read a profile and make a decision. Many people are just bad at writing profiles too. Really? Forget everything in a profile. Just spend some time doing anything together and see. From looking at my friends who are in relationships, ever since the dawn of time, it was and still is communication. Nobody opens up about their feelings. Everyone is traumatized from their past experiences and everyone lies or jumps to conclusions. Everyone is just really bad at communicating. I agree with you on these points. But I did want to add one thing about communication. I think a lot of people want to communicate well, but fail to do so because of how the other party often reacts. I once roomed with a guy who was very dismissive. He preached about communicating well, but would belittle myself and others for being too sensitive. When you get those kinds of responses, you eventually stop communicating because the other party just brushes it off. Looking back, I wish I communicated better, but it's pretty hard to communicate when the person on the other side won't even be willing to listen. People are too insecure to communicate clearly and confidently. People put too much value in external ideas of what their relationship should look/feel like instead of going off of their own feeling/intuition. I could be wrong, so please critique and add and/or take away, but I think the overall blight on human society in general, that no one is talking about, is stunted emotional development. On the whole, I think most people lack the ability to communicate clearly and confidently. It's like everyone is playing their emotional cards close to vest. Vulnerability is in short supply, and some have good reason to be cautious. They've been vulnerable, and it was used against them. There's just so much toxicity in the world. It's so hard not to be a cynic. I don't know, since I'm not currently dating, married one of my best girlfriends a few years ago, but I think the temptation of the upgrade in every facet of society is our collective biggest issue. Nothing can ever be good enough. You're always being pushed to find perfection, which just doesn't exist. And the ability to supposedly upgrade in the dating world, via dating apps, social media, etc., is always there. I would just fucking hate to be a young high schooler right now, I'll tell you that much. Young high schooler here. People expect a perfect issue-free relationship, and any bit of fighting, disagreement, or other conflict is reason to end it. There will be fighting, there will be disagreement. But learn to work through it, and really stop and listen to your partner, hear their reasoning for their viewpoints. It's usually partner vs partner, not partners vs problem. It also feels like, if one person is expecting the relationship to come with fighting and disagreements and is open to keep trying despite this, but the other person isn't, then it still doesn't benefit the relationship at all. Both people 100% need to be willing to fight for the relationship, which sounds kind of rare at this point. Treating persons as products. Treating relationships as 2-year warranties. Confusing interest with love. An uncertain future and an unstable present that paralyzes the search for a partner, family, since they do not know if they will even be able to support themselves financially, leading into the increase in casual relationships, fear of long relationships and settling down, etc. It's really difficult to find someone as a currently unemployed woman who wants to study to become a blue-collar worker. People expect perfection and will judge your intelligence and worth by the job you have. Unusually high expectations and the idea that marriage is like buying a car. Lower your expectations. Bo Burnham, https://yauta.b/llgvsgn17cq. 1. Too much choice. The grass is always greener. No incentive to work out problems. 2. Mythology of the one. Millions of people reject perfectly compatible individuals because there is one thing wrong with them, and the stupid notion that chemistry will exist ad infinitum. 3. No incentives to stay together, many incentives to divorce. My ex-wife was a big believer in the grass is greener thing. I looked it up, and it is actually a syndrome. Welp, she is still single 5 years later, so. Social media. First, it gives very unrealistic views of relationships. Most people only post their happy moments. Second, it gives many opportunities for cheaters. Third, it also gives unrealistic views of what normal people look like. Too many people doll themselves up using filters, etc., and it makes the not so camera friendly people feel hideous and like they could never compete. Social media may give a wider net for cheating, but a cheater will cheat with anyone they want to. You can make them break off friendships, erase their phone contacts, and control their time and who they talk to, but if they want to cheat they will find a way. I don't control relationships, but I know someone who did this with her partner, and guess what happened? It's not worth it to be with someone who treats you like you're going to cheat, or be with someone you think will cheat. There's no trust there. Our world is focused on overstimulation. You get what you want, whenever you want it. Entertainment comes at the click of a button. This attitude can potentially affect the way we view or exist within a relationship. We are conditioned to get what we want without much work or time behind it. The good thing is human connection is vastly different from internet connection, haha. So for the most part, our relationships will be normal. It's important to be self-aware about your tech usage though, because more often than not it'll get the best of you. I'm upset with how much you make sense. As a person going into the tech field I love my computer, but damn if it isn't warping my sense of reality. I hope this is the wake up call I needed. Thanks for posting this, friend, and making me think about this. Cell phones/social media are making people overthink and make life too complicated, which trickles into relationships. It's creating this keeping up with the Joneses mentality with your own relationship. Once marriage is part of the conversation, people get so many crazy ideas of what a wedding or ring should be because they saw it on Instagram or whatever. Even a simple date can be influenced by what people think it will look like to others. Tough way to start a relationship/marriage. There is nothing wrong with today's relationships that has not been not wrong with relationships for eons. Selfishness, laziness and poor communication have always existed. The only change is the flavor of how it manifests. I disagree. Absent the availability of options has a huge impact on relationships. In the 50s, most people ended up with someone in basically the same neighborhood they were from. Now apps, easier communication, and the prevalence of travel have opened up dating options. This has directly led to higher rates of selectivity and ending relationships when something is difficult because more options are available. Too many broken people looking to fix something within themselves by meeting another person, but they just end up sabotaging that relationship cause of trauma that they haven't sorted out. And there's a lot of double standards as well as people getting into relationships for the wrong reasons, whether that be for sex, money, or simply being lonely and needing new attention from a different person every couple months. Sometimes you can't sort out trauma. It just remains there, and you just soldier on. As a 22-year-old who has dated several people, too many people are afraid of conflict or simply say they dislike conflict. No one likes conflict, but it is required for you to resolve issues and to grow better together. The inability for people to take constructive criticism, emphasis on constructive, is the root of a lot of relationship issues that I notice among friends and my own experiences. Humility is a hard issue to learn for many. I second this. Conflict resolution takes practice too. If someone isn't willing to work out a conflict, they won't develop the skill. My wife and I had to rough it out a couple of times, but we get better every time. People are just scared to commit. They'd rather have some fun, and when things go wrong drop everything they have. They're scared to get attached. They're scared to take risks. They just overthink and don't trust their hearts. I trust Kevin Hart with my life. Seeing a lot about communication and too much choice. One thing I'm not seeing is overblown expectations for what a partner should do for you. Too many people think a partner will complete you, make you whole, help you achieve your every desire, etc. Those things are not possible. Both people in the relationship need to be able to help each other and help themselves at different times. Expecting the relationship or the person to make your life perfect is an unfair and unrealistic idea. Nothing. Relationships have always been unstable and unfaithful. The difference is nowadays people talk about it. Exaggerating, of course. Not every relationship sucks. But lots do, and people used to just ignore it and get depressed over it, whereas today we are more likely to just end it and look for some new experiences. This is such an underrated viewpoint. My mom always feels the world has gone off the rails or people have gone mad nowadays, and I always make the argument that it was always like that. Now you just hear about everything. I come up with this when I was high 50 years ago. If you bought a lighter, you bought one you loved. If it ran out of gas, you filled it up. If the flint wore down, you'd replace it. But now we buy disposable lights knowing straight away we can just use it and throw it away when it suits us. Us being a general look on society. And to be honest, I think it has an ounce of truth to it. That's a nice analogy, but 50 years ago disposable lighters were called matches. You can still buy nice lighters you refill with gas today. That's not to say we as a people have gotten used to disposability in new products instead of reducing or reusing. I feel people simply don't seek contentment and happiness in other people, less so than before, whether it be relationships, friendships, or family. I don't know if that's wrong per se, just where we're moving it seems. Dummies on the internet trying to apply their own experiences to everybody else's lives and relationships. Or basing judgments off of a single one-sided fact to judge a relationship. I think there are less and less people who want to put in the work a relationship requires. No one wants to fuck with it. It's easier to part ways. It would probably help if you listed out grievances, because you be honest, I don't see anything better or worse with the relationships now versus in the past. Are we talking long-term relationships? The dating process? Divorce rates? My thought is that everyone gives up and think that there is always something better. People don't know how to keep pushing forward and working things out. They don't know how to push forward because their relationship lacks a foundation. People go on these dating sites, match with people, and then after having so much as a 1-hour date, they get right into banging each other without making a mutual friendship with each other. Without a foundation to complement their mutual liking for each other, their romantic momentum gets dragged by the loose dirt and mud, where the foundation of friendship should be. And then when the momentum of romance dies, couples then get bored and decide to split and seek other people. Usually by the time it happens, the girl is already pregnant,